Welcome. This is another Tactical Technician video brought to you from Diagnation. And today we have a scope capture of a case study of a Dodge truck. It was a 2000 Dodge truck with a 5.9 liter 8-cylinder with a distributor, port injected, that was occasionally stalling. And I believe I put a crank sensor in it and it did not fix it. You'd let it idle for about 10 or 15 minutes and it would stall, and then it would run good, then it would stall. So I had to keep and think about something else. I had to get the scope back on it, and I actually wanted to set a trigger. So we're going to see, I have 3 files of capture here for this truck. I'll show you the schematic. You can see right here, it's pretty simplified. We have 3 channels on the scope. Channel A is at the crank sensor, or at the PCM. Channel B is the negative side of the coil at the PCM. Have to attenuate that channel on the Pico scope, the Pico 4425, because the flyback voltage will go north of 200 volts, which it usually does on ignition primary. Channel C is at the PCM at the ASD relay control wire. That's the coil that the driver in the PCM closes to energize the magnetic field in the relay and latch the relay. The relay will power the positive side of the coil, among other things, oxygen sensors. It also repower back the PCM as a validation that it latched, or it could be just PCM using power to work. But nonetheless, we're just going to concentrate on these 3 signals here for this truck. Take a snapshot of this, and we'll go to the scope. And you can see this capture here. This is a long capture where the vehicle did not act up. It's got 65 frames here, and I will get to, if I can here. Basically, this is what it did here. I don't see any dropouts here. Everything looks pretty good. We got good ignition primary at the negative side of the coil. We have a good solid ground at the ASD relay here. Very low voltage. The driver in the PCM is closing the ASD relay, latching the ASD relay, and in blue we're triggered here. We have a trigger on the crank sensor. Should this signal go south abruptly, it will stop capturing the signal and we'll be able to analyze it. So basically that's what we have here on this capture. I will go through it if I can get this mouse to work. Here we go. We'll go up to 65 and we don't see anything on here. I was kind of waiting for it to stall and it did not. Sometimes you just want to make a point about using a scope. In the drivability world we live in, patience is really important. You can't be rushed by people, and sometimes the clock really isn't. I guess it is a factor, but in the wait for the car to brake world, sometimes you have to be really patient, and people really have to understand that. But nonetheless, I see a little weirdness here. I can't explain that. Maybe interference. Maybe it's something on the precipice of failing. That would be the driver in the. That's the signal at the PCM, the driver control for the ASD relay, and that's the crank. They're kind of in sync. I don't see much on the. Let me just see if the ignition primary has that fuzziness to it. Yeah, it does, but I can't explain that. I just maybe somebody else can. Nonetheless, so we did not get it to stall here. This was done on 922. I'll go back to the other 2 captures on 922 that show us a little more information. Let's go back to here, 922, 929, 922. Here's this truck again. We're starting to do some weird stuff, and we'll start taking a look at it. And we look at our signals. Okay. We got something here. We see some gaps here. Let me get rid of this. We got 65 more frames this way. Let me see if it acts up in this direction. I don't want to go back too far because it may have been good during this whole. That's the true intermittent problem. There's that fuzziness again. That may be something to do with the issue, but nonetheless, I'm going to go back forward to where I saw that anomaly, that dropout. We can learn something from that. Take a look at it. It's coming up. I don't believe the vehicle stalled. It might have hiccuped here because the time between Okay, right here. Okay, we saw a little hiccup here. How long is that? Let's just curious how long that would be if the vehicle kind of lost its ignition and it lost some of its crank sensor. But that's 149 milli. That's almost, I don't know, an eighth of a second. That's not very long. But nonetheless, look at green. Look what happened on green. That's kind of a red flag about what's going on here. The voltage escalated on green. Right here, you can see the gap. That means that driver in the PCM opened up here. So now we got the PCM under suspicion because that's contingent upon the PCM to that driver to stay closed for it to keep that relay latch to power the positive side of the coil. Obviously, we lost it here. We lost the crank here, and looks like that was the end of the capture. On the final capture, we'll see something more conclusive as to this problem. I'll go to that, and you could take a look at what really went down here. This is on 9/22. Okay. 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 This may be our guy where we actually got a cut and dry stall, and we'll make a diagnostic decision from what we see here, and we'll kind of analyze parts of it. Okay, we have this is just one frame. We have a trigger here, and we're going along here, and then all of a sudden we got a major dropout here. We lose the crank, we lose the ASD relay rises. That's a telltale sign right there that the PCM's got an issue on one of its drivers. You can see right here that the real kicker, you can see the voltage rise on the green. That means the ASD relay opened up, and the ASD relay powers the positive side of the coil. So our remaining voltage here, if that were 14 volts, that would affect, I would wonder about that, but that's not, that's low voltage. That means that positive side of the ignition coil lost its feed, and that comes from the ASD relay. So basically, we put a PCM in this truck and it fixed it, but you can tell a lot just by this right here. Right here, that's a telltale, that's an abrupt opening up of a transistor inside the PCM, and the resulting effect of the coil losing its positive feed. The crank sensor here is also abrupt. The crank sensor gets 5-volt reference from the PCM. I don't believe it's able to send out its 5 volts once that ASD relay opens up, and it's unable to send that 5-volt reference out. So basically we're low on the crank, but more importantly, you see what right here, we're low on the positive side of the coil. So we deemed the PCM faulty and put a PCM in and it fixed it. All right, thank you very much.